How's it going, everybody? Thank you all for coming on to our webinar, our white papers training webinar. We've had great success all week with this, and we're definitely doing something right because you are all coming back. We've had some great feedback so far, and we hope to carry on with that. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Debbie.
Hi guys, tonight we're on page 14, decentralized consensus. First part is master nodes. The role of the master node is to aggregate transactions with the intention to produce blocks. Only master nodes have the authority to write transactions into the blockchain ledger history. Each master node is aware of the other and they must have been voted in by the governing system. Master nodes are novel in a way that their authority is represented with cryptographic keys. This means that each master node must have registered its public key and will sign with its private key during the time of block production. Therefore, it is possible to hold any one particular master node accountable for its actions. So guys, if you imagine the master node is like the hierarchy of the bank, he's like the bank CEO, even just the bank manager. The master node will write the transactions into the blockchain. They're aware of all other master nodes currently in the blockchain. And the master node must have a public and a private key. The private key would leave a stamp on the blockchain. So this is really important, in case anyone does anything wrong when the blockchain's being audited. Everything is up and above board. The ledger nodes. Ledger nodes are non-authoritative maintainers of the Dascoin blockchain. In other words, ledger nodes do not produce blocks, yet they aggregate transactions and pass them to the master nodes for blockchain inclusion. Ledger nodes are able to verify transactions, are therefore useful for both increasing the footprint of the Dascoin consensus network and permitting connectivity to reach farther without requiring the need to assign authority to node. Transactions propagation is accelerated because of ledger nodes. In the most simplistic terms, if you imagine the ledger node is almost like the bank clerk who collates the information and passes them up to the master node. Now, we actually, Rebecca spoke to Terry earlier today, and he gave us a synopsis of what he said is a master node. Rebecca, could you share that with us, please?
Yeah.
Sorry for putting you on the spot there.
That's all right. Just find a message here. Yeah, so I asked Terry about the nodes. Is it something that we have to physically do on a computer to run them? What's required to run each type of node? So his reply was, the blockchain is stored on a peer-to-peer network. Each computer on the network is a node. Ultimately, there will be many thousands of nodes. The computers that authorize transactions are called master nodes, and they are separate from the regular nodes, ledger nodes.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Right.
We're going to pass on to Arthur.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you, Debbie. Yes, so guys, as we mentioned before, we're not here to position ourselves as gurus of any sort. We will be going back to the company back and forth pretty much based on the questions that we have as well as you have. Also, if I actually do my part, 33 of us will be going next week to Belgrade for the Advisory Council. And that's, okay, thanks guys. And that's effectively the training that the company will be giving us. We are going to have the training on all of these sections. I'm just accepting extra people. We're going to have a deep, in-depth training on what the nodes, effectively how everything works, again, on operations, transactions, blocks, etc. So we will be covering that during the upcoming trainings as well for you guys. Okay, voting nodes. Voting nodes are non-authoritative influences of the Dascoin blockchain. These nodes do not control any of the daily functions of the Dascoin system, but fully control who sits on a Dascoin board and what proposals are passed within the system. Voting nodes represent significant stakeholders who have demonstrated through their commitments to hold at least 10,000 Dascoins for a period of 2 to 5 years. that they have a long-term view on Dascoin and therefore are given the privilege of influence over chain governance. Each voting node may sign a transaction with their corresponding private key and thus express an opinion on issues regarding chain governance. Voting takes place within a dedicated section of the web wallet and requires authentication by a dedicated two-factor hardware device. You know what it is, it's the validator. Votes can occur individually on or in multi-vote blocks, such as when a specific wallet account has several deep vault contracts or one or more high-level deep vault contracts. Any qualified voting node can initiate a proposal. The Dascoin board is responsible for organizing and presenting the proposals to the voting node population. There is also a mechanism within the voting system that allows the voting nodes to directly present a referendum to the membership without going through the board view process to prevent the board from withholding a certain proposal from voting nodes. Each account holder may commit to as many voting contracts as they desire and receive that many number of votes in a system. Each vote is of equal weight in chain elections and referendums. The purpose of voting contracts is to ensure users to have a locked balance of Dascoin as stake in the system and thus have a vested interest in preserving their commitment. The length of the contract, 2 years, is set within the expectation that the votes will be rationally biased towards longer-term growth or value over short-term gains, as commitments are locked and cannot be withdrawn to profit from short-term market dynamics. This entire section, voting notes, effectively, we can go back to what we covered yesterday with the contracts. Voting contracts, ledger contracts, master contracts. It's of a similar, pretty much. It explains that whole thing again, just adding another person in. So it's all about what these effectively do. It talks about the fact that it's not just the founders influencing decisions of the company as well as the direction, but it's also us. Okay. Over to James.
No.
Or me, sorry, I was on mute. I was talking to myself there.
Has anyone got any questions on this? On the nodes at all? No. Okay, Vivian?
You've got? We must be explaining it really well if there's no questions on that.
That's good.
Okay, so block production. Each master node is given a fair chance to produce a block. Until each master node has participated in producing a block, their order is randomized again. This prevents any one master node from dominating block production, which could potentially lead to network instability and transactions from not being confirmed in the ledger. Every 6 seconds, another master node is selected and is responsible for producing the block for that index. If they fail to produce a block, then the next master node will take over in producing the block for the same index. This protocol is followed for the production of all types of blocks within the blockchain. I suppose what this basically means is, every master node will get an equal chance of being next to produce the next block, and ensures blocks are created every 6 seconds. If there's any failure, it just moves on to the next one. So I guess that covers that. Anyone want to add anything? No? Okay.
Maybe I'll just quickly chip in. So it's that distribution effectively. So we've got some information already that nodes will be sitting on a peer-to-peer network, and then wallets or web wallets will be geographically dispersed to ensure business continuity effectively and disaster recovery. So this is why there's that section called in case there is a failure or whatever that might be for a master node.
Perfect.
All right. So software updates. Over time, updates in the form of improvements and feature implementations will need to be incorporated into the blockchain software. Therefore, it is made possible to upgrade the technology even while it is already operating. At least 51% of master nodes must approve of a software change in order to incorporate it into the overall utility of the network. This allows the Dascoin stakeholders to incorporate feature requests and for developers to optimize the performance of the software. Due to the system's hybrid structure, there is the capacity for centralized deployment once a software update has been approved by at least 51% of the master nodes. Centralized deployment eliminates the possibility of there ever being what is known as a hard fork, in which the currency system splits into two separate networks. This outcome is the product of internal disagreement among the production nodes of the system and causes many negative outcomes. A hard fork is statistically inevitable for any decentralized cryptocurrency due to their operational structure. On the other hand, a hard fork is impossible with the Dascoin system. Upon the approval of a software update, all core nodes are updated and all community nodes in agreement are also updated. This group will account for at least 51% of the master nodes and will continue to operate the Dascoin blockchain. Any remaining community nodes that refuse the software update will no longer be recognized within the operation of the Dascoin blockchain and will no longer receive their super block distribution. In effect, this is, in my opinion, a really important couple of paragraphs, because what this really puts out there is this isn't, while there is a centralized element, obviously, to this this company, and that part's essential. It is very much decentralized after that. It takes 51% of the master nodes for anything to happen, which is basically individuals like ourselves. Anyone who commits to the company on a 5-year contract with 1 million coins plus are obviously going to have a long-term view in the company. And it's those same people who are going to have the ability to make decisions. So it's not just all down to the board. So I think that's hugely important. It's also important to, that we can avoid the hard fork scenario. It happened with Ethereum, in my opinion, and just my opinion. While one side of Ethereum did very well out of that, the other didn't. And also, even though that did well, it was static for a month or longer, and obviously wasn't good for the community. So avoiding a hard fork is good, and according to this, it's an impossibility for Dascoin to end up in that position. So that's good.
Yeah, to put it into like a real life scenario for people who don't understand what hard forks, etc. are, it would be like you having your Apple iPhone and Arthur, can you mute everyone? It sounds like someone's hoovering in the background.
Yeah, I'm going to mute. Just unmute yourself in a second.
Yeah.
No thanks. Tell me you all the salad you want.
Mic again.
Okay, the button did not work. Okay, I need to do it individually.
I'll get myself.
I think you've got everyone.
That's it. That's perfect.
Okay, so sorry about that, folks. So for people who don't understand what a hard fork is in cryptocurrencies, if you imagine having your iPhone or Samsung or whatever kind of smartphone you use, after a year or two, the software is getting outdated and you have to update your software. If you don't update your software, all those apps that you download tend to stop running. So you're running on old technology, so to speak. And unless you upgrade your phone or you upgrade your software, you will effectively lose all your software updates. So all your applications that you have on your phone will be out of sync. They'll not be working properly. And this is, in effect, what a hard fork is. So if you don't update your servers, and if people say, no, I want to keep it on the old network, then they want to go one way, and the new ones want to go the other way. So you want to keep that combined. And what we have done here, or what Michael Mateus has envisioned, is he took that out of like completely out of the system for us, and that we will never be in that predicament of a hard fork, because each one of us, with voting nodes and all the rest of it, we actually have a say in this. And it's very, very well put together. And, you know, hats off. I keep saying hats off to him because it really is hats off to him. It's amazing.
And I think they've
Yeah,
given from the
and
start.
I suppose, sorry, Debbie.
Okay, yeah, no, I mean, from the start, since September last year, step by step, they've listened to recommendation from the whole team, and the fact that the company's going forward like that is fantastic. So you're
Yeah, absolutely, and I mean,
cool, Beth, on you go.
It's just forward. There's not gonna. It's just again another indication that one vision, always forward. We're never gonna be in some kind of a predicament where, okay, are we doing this or are we doing that? No, democratic vote, 51%. Okay, we're going there. That's it.
It's just everything is just literally like perfect. It's like no one can say anything. Like, you know, all the KYC and everything. No one can say anything about it because they've got it all like really down to a T.
You can just see. So we share a lot of stuff inside our groups on WhatsApp, especially when it comes to articles that are being released from different authoritative websites when it comes to blockchain technology, etc. It just shows these documents that they've clearly collected a heck of a lot of data from the market, effectively, whether this is to do with Ethereum, whether this is to do with blockchain, and they realized what the disadvantages are of the existing models that have been out there for a number of years now, and now decided, okay, these things are clearly not working. That's where the problem is. That's how we're going to do things.
no, it's really great forward thinking, and you know, I think what they've said there was the impossibility for a hard fork, because 1% plus vote for some, if the other 14% or whatever remaining percent don't then follow on, they're sort of taken out of the equation. So you can't have almost like a mutiny scenario. You know, if you won't agree to the terms, which is if 51% or more vote for something, well, it carries, and that's it. And you must run with it from there. So it's just to have this forward thought, you know, from way back and have it in place is it's amazing. Like everything else, as we're learning. Yeah, I think it's over to you, Rebecca, is it?
Yeah. So we're going from privacy, yeah. The Dascoin blockchain is a permission system, meaning that all user accounts must be verified and approved by a registrar authority, which in the case of user accounts is handled through the digital wallet system. We define the state as the consensus about user data, accounts, balances, etc. Unlike Bitcoin, right, I can't say, what's that word?
Derivatives.
Huh?
Derivatives.
Okay. User state exists on all nodes as in memory data, and it can be freely accessed. So yeah, basically, it's saying like you can see on the blockchain, you can see the transactions, but you can't see the personal details of each individual. So it's just numbers. The state is maintained through network consensus by following the longest available chain of blocks. Nodes can replay that longest path by applying each recorded transaction in order and reach the current state or the state at the time of any block in the past. So each transaction, as we already know, it's recorded on the blockchain, and it every single transaction can be tracked back and like in a way, if you like, checked. Because state is regularly accessed and modified by the node application, it cannot be stored in an encrypted format on a disk. As a matter of fact, the data must reside in RAM for performance reasons, making access more difficult. So if the information was on a disk, it's got a high chance, it's easy for people to hack it and stuff. So that's not what they're doing. They've put the information, personal information, in a different place, so it's more difficult for people to access and hack. The assumption within the Dascoin blockchain is that all data on the blockchain is public. User accounts and thus the balances that are linked to the account IDs do not store personally identifiable information. All private data is stored on separate private authentication servers in encrypted cold storage. Consequently, only the users themselves know the ID of their account and thus keep their privacy from outside observers. So what it's saying is the balance, you can see like balances and numbers, but you can't see everyone's personal information. Even though we've got full KYC, that information is not available for the public. So it doesn't matter if they can see like 10,000 euros or dollars, it means nothing because they don't know who it belongs to.
Yeah, and just for people who don't understand what cold storage is, it doesn't mean like a freezer or a fridge. What it means is that it's offline, so it's not online, it's not connected to any network, which means it is, unless someone actually was at that server with their hands, no one online can tap into that network or can tap into that storage. So it's totally secure. It's like putting all your stuff on a memory stick. I'm using this pen as an example. And when you take it out of your laptop, there's no Wi-Fi getting into that. There's no one can connect into it. Unless you plug it back in, it's totally safe.
Okay. I forgot where I got.
You're on number 4 in order.
Yeah. In order to achieve transparency of operation, the Dascoin blockchain must be open to the public. This requires that the block explorer, dascoinexplorer.com, show unfiltered blocks with all the data from transactions. Through participation in deep vault contracts, users are able to deploy their own ledger nodes to observe the blockchain and query the state, balances, accounts, and other data. So it's basically what we've already said. You can access information, and it like we've got full KYC, and everyone, it's open to the public, but they cannot see personal data about the individual. So it doesn't matter if they can see balances because it means nothing.
Yeah, and any data that could potentially violate any data privacy laws is actually being hidden away on separate encrypted servers, and data like that is just movable, that changes on a continuous basis because transactions are being performed, like account balances are just being openly available because those are just numbers.
Yeah. The authentication server can reveal user data for KYC validation purposes. To comply with legal regulation, the users can be made aware of this fact and the necessity to comply with the law. So I think, are we like the first, aren't we, to do this KYC? It's like
we're not the first to do KYC, but like for on the exchanges and stuff, every exchange that you trade cryptocurrencies on, all of them have a KYC procedure. So if someone was to go and ask that information, then by law and by right, net leaders or Dascoin would have to inform you as the holder of that account that such and such is asking information about you or wants to inquire about your information. So if someone was coming in and do like an audit or they thought money laundering was happening, then this is what it's all covered in, and it's in every single exchange. So Dascoin isn't on its own there, but we are the first to do it with smart contracts.
Yeah. So it's a positive thing.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely. Within this privacy model, trust must be placed in the authentication service of the Dascoin network, the user still has a reasonable expectation of privacy in the system, as their balances are not known to external parties. KYC information is also provided in the current cryptocurrency exchange systems by legal requirement. The authentication service has a strong incentive not to divulge the private information to outside parties, as it would harm the value of the network. It also reduces the amount of trust the user must place in the network. Since all transactions are public, there is no possibility for manipulation of balances and user state. So basically, what we sort of compared this to was, if you had your bank statement and you had, say you had $1 million in your bank, and you've got your bank statement in front of you, but you just cut off the top part, so your name and address isn't on there. It's just got your bank balance and transactions. You can go and show that to anybody, but it literally doesn't mean anything, because it could belong to anyone. And where it's saying on here, you obviously, when it's same as your bank, you have to have trust in your bank. So when I used to work in a bank, and you're not allowed to share information to third parties unless they've got authority and stuff like that. So you have to put trust into the bank that they're going to protect your data and information. This is the same concept.
Yeah, and also for external parties, if you look at the likes of here in the UK, your bank still discloses information about you to other third parties that you actually do not know of. So if you go and do a credit search of your history, a credit report, you will see your bank discloses every month how much is left in your bank accounts, what kind of accounts you have, if you have credit cards, all this kind of stuff. So your information does get disclosed, but with Dascoin, none of that's being disclosed. It's amazing.
Yeah. The only requirement is that the authentication servers are kept secure from intrusions. This, however, is a much easier task than securing the whole network, as the attack surface is much smaller, so access control can be totally regulated. If data is properly secured and shared, a potential intrusion does not necessitate a total loss of privacy, as the attacker only gains a certain amount of private data. So what he's saying is, the information that is completely private is your personal information, not your balance or transactions. So because it's the amount of information that is totally private, it's got a lot less chance of being hacked.
Yeah, and if it was hacked, there is nothing more that they could use to their advantage, or anything of value to them.
And there's less to actually protect, rather than trying to protect the whole system. They're only having to protect this small area where your actual details are kept, because as we've already has been stated here, finding a balance of some random person that you have no idea who it is means nothing. So they have much less to protect, and therefore much easier to put a higher level of protection on that.
Yeah. Okay, so we're moving on to page 17, which is the high-speed node network. The Dascoin ecosystem exposes new power and possibility as a blockchain and cryptocurrency, since master nodes only need to store their private signing key and be authenticated with the rest of the network. This means that the master nodes only need to validate transactions against the history before producing a block. The sooner the node can verify all signatures and balances, the sooner it can produce a block and move on. Therefore, confirmation and trade can move at a faster pace than ever before. Just to summarize that, folks, it's saying that the sooner it can produce a block to move on, we're talking milliseconds. We're not talking a couple of hours or a couple of days on signatures, etc. This is milliseconds, as it's all automated through the technology and the software. The quality of the hardware and network configuration, which enables better capture of transactions from around the world, greatly improves reliability and stability for commerce. Because of these advancements in the network can confirm transactions and permit balance updates in as little as 6 seconds. Optimization to the blockchain software will greatly reduce the time required to confirm and propagate blocks. So, you know, if we weren't a permissioned blockchain, we wouldn't be able to run on a 6-second network. That just says it in a nutshell. There's nothing else I can add to that personally. If anyone else has, by all means, go for it.
Yeah, it's the concept. It's effectively how the blockchain is structured. We've already discussed previously that it's a permissioned blockchain or permission-based blockchain. Therefore, the way I see it, it's almost like being a doorman somewhere standing in front of the bar where you need to show your ID, and only once you do that, you're let into the bar, and then you can enjoy your evening or whatever. It's a similar thing. So you do that initial authentication, kind of a pain in the backside or whatever, but once you've done that, the blockchain does not need to be performing all the heavy authentication again, because you've already been authenticated. You've already been let in. Therefore, we are able to do light authentications and therefore actually attach blocks one after another every 6 seconds at least. So again, it's that genius. What the company has done and the way they've structured everything is that because of the authentication, we have the speed and we have the KYC, and the banks, governments, whoever else, they're gonna love us.
Yeah, I mean, with your, as you know, following your example there, Arthur, it would be the equivalent of being in that same nightclub, and every time you go up to order a pint, you have to show your passport, a proof of address, and prove who you are. And all the while, you know, you still only have 3 people behind the bar serving. They're spending most of their time checking out to see that you are who you are. Whereas if that's all done when you come in the door first time, 3 people behind the bar are just lashing out drink. So it's everything's done quicker.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah,
perfect.
Okay, guys, we've covered what we plan to cover this evening. We're going to open this up. We've got still quite a few people with us. Jason, Paul, Sean, Arvinder, any questions? Mark is here. Nengami, Robert. Not putting you on a spot at all, but feel free to comment. I know that this is all quite heavy. It's good to rewatch it in a free moment, and also we're gonna be going deeper into all these terms, because I know nodes, for example, we're gonna be studying it next week in kind of a private group, and then we will be sharing our findings with the rest of you, with the rest of the community.
Yep, no question for me. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, Harvinder.
Hi, James. Hi, everyone.
How are you doing? How are you keeping?
Great.
Good stuff. Guys,
We're done.
You muted.
Has Harvinder got a question?
Or a comment?
Did Harvinder have one?
It wasn't me. Someone else, I think.
Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry. Just to clarify what a node is, I've just pulled it up on my phone here, just because it's something, it's still new to us who are even talking about this every day, and we are all learning. So none of us are, as Arthur said, gurus in this, and we are learning every single day. So a node in a communications network, a network node is a connection point that can receive, create, store, and send data along distributed network routes. So basically, it's like a highway. Whether it's an endpoint for data transmissions or a redistribution point, has either programmed or engineered capability to recognize, process, and forward transmissions to other network nodes. So that would be the ledger nodes and the master nodes, etc., all communicating with each other. If you relate it into ours with Dascoin, I just thought I would throw that in there just to, if anyone needed to ease that burden of what a node was. You sound like super geeks here.
Okay, guys. So we're gonna stop the recording. We're gonna carry on after this for another 5 or 10 minutes or so, but just to keep it short and sweet, because we are just on the half an hour mark pretty much. So I'm stopping the recording now. If we haven't got any more questions, and then we're just gonna carry on. Stay with us if you want to ask about anything, any of this offline. Okay.
Are we going to go with the same time tomorrow, Arthur? Before you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I won't be here, but I'm sure you'll manage without me.
We'll be here in spirit.
Yeah, I have a presentation tomorrow night. So
Presentation in Cork, in Birch Suites.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Okay, I'm stopping the recording now, guys, and yeah. Okay.